suits.
You're such an idiot. Just go away.
I'm a good job. Leave that to somebody else. Then why are you leaving? Why are you leaving?
I'm not crazy. So apparently, well, there you go. There's a hole in my case. Apparently, there's a lot of people out there that look like Mr. Fox who served me with a defamation notice.
I'm sorry, did you actually think that was Brian Fox?
No, I didn't. He did. I don't ID people. I'm a lawyer.
What made you think that was Brian Fox?
That was, well, the photos that I saw that were presented in the evidence looked identical to him with the same.
And I did just get served a defamation notice. They came here.
Okay.
Right. So
Brandon, can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, sure. So a defamation notice, right? So that's just a letter somebody gets, and it's a
How much are they saying?
Nothing. It's a defamation notice. So what do? You have a Libel and Slanders Act here in the province of Ontario, and you serve a notice, all right, of libel and slander. But people usually do it as sort of an intimidation tactic because it typically only applies to media. You don't actually serve a libel and slander notice on individuals that aren't media. So I got served a libel and slander notice.
You mean
it doesn't?
It can't mean
anybody. It doesn't mean anything. So
isn't it
I can't. No, and I wrote. It was so funny because I didn't want to talk to him because you don't usually talk to people with lawyers. So he has Blake's. But I wrote Blake's, the lawyer, and I said, if he's here, you guys are proceeding with the claim. Let's get some disclosure going. Let's settle this up. And I know he hasn't come on TV himself, and he just keeps sending out letters, and I don't believe he said anything himself. So I still would love him to testify if I can get the commission to agree that he does.
You mean Brian Fox?
Yeah.
Not Greg McCacken.
No, not Greg McCacken. Well, Greg, I don't think Greg likes me.
Isn't this getting ridiculous? So Brian Fox unequivocally denies it. They're suing you now for it and threatening to do it. You're chasing down the wrong guy outside the inquiry. Isn't this getting absurd?
Who do you work for? Oh, man.
I'm just asking. Isn't that a fair question? Is this getting, you have no evidence to support these claims.
Well, there's a filed affidavit
holes
of
in
a
your
guy
case.
identifying him.
A guy identifying him based on your
evidence you have.
No, not at all. We actually filed a statement. You guys just haven't obviously read the full affidavit because what I've been doing, it's no offense to you guys, but I find that I've only been here for what, like a month?
5 weeks.
Yeah. The Ottawa Bureau, it's not, I'm actually very pro normal media, completely. But you guys are very different than the folks that we have back home. Like, for example, I think you're just overly in bed with the current ruling gov so that you can get access to things, and you're afraid to
tell us now, like, walk us through, convince us that Brian Fox had a Nazi flag.
Okay, so first off, we filed a statement, okay, on October 24th, before we even knew who Brian Fox was, all right? Our witness, and it's in the affidavits, if you guys, like, you know how they're not giving you records? Like, you keep asking me for records? Okay, so I tell you to take them from the commission, and the things I file, all right, they won't make public. They won't. So you
mean like your affidavits and stuff?
Yeah. So what you have to do in order to do your jobs right is you have to apply.
But okay,
because you're not getting the truth.
But the question, what? Tell us how you keep naming Brian Fox.
Yeah, Brian
tell
Fox.
us why you keep naming
Brian Fox.
Tell us why.
How did you get to Brian Fox? Like, how did his
just explain? Like, I know the document stuff. Explain to us
analytics, but I'll tell you this. So we have an affidavit. The affidavit is new, but the statement's not. So what the commission directed us to do is subpoenas was to provide the commission back in October all relevant material statements. Okay, and so you probably saw through the decision, Mr. Sean Folks. All right, Sean Folks was the AFIM. Sean Folks provided the commission a statement in October. All right, before we even knew about Mr. Fox. And it outlined having met the guy with the Nazi flag.
He didn't say in that statement it was Brian Fox, or it was Brian Fox.
I know, right? Because
he didn't say Brian Fox until you said Brian Fox. So why did you say Brian Fox?
So I'm saying Brian Fox because what happened? Because I was putting it under the stand for other reasons, because we have other information you don't know. And the thing is, you don't have to put everything forward when you make an application to compel someone to testify. You only have to put forward.
Why did you say Brian Fox?
Because I have reasonable grounds, let's say.
So what are they?
Let's get Brian Fox here.
Okay, what are your reasonable grounds? Tell us. You've accused him. You're getting a libel notice for saying it. You're chasing down someone else who's the wrong person.
Yeah, because Tom Marazzo. But I have an affidavit that my witness. Okay, so just let me finish. We give a statement, okay, to the commission, That's in October, before we even know about Brian Fox. The witness had met the gentleman, okay, with the Nazi flag. Met him, talked to him, right? But of course, nobody knows who the Nazi flag guy was. And interestingly, right, in all the disclosure, all my clients are mentioned, right? But they're not terrorists. But people carrying these flags, right, and actually Nazi symbols.
Can you answer the question?
Yeah, no. So, but every single one of these individuals is not investigated. No one. Nobody knows who they are. And when I asked CSIS, right, he knows, I think. Personally, I think he knows. But the whole thing is this. So he gets a statement. He had met with them. When I asked those questions, and like I actually forgot that we even got a statement because they didn't allow that in. They didn't want to hear from this witness who identified the guy with the Nazi flag. And I thought that was kind of weird, but I didn't know about really what happened until after we was in data analytics and things like that and tracing, because a lot of it was tracing. I don't know if any of you are familiar with fraud work, but when I mentioned his name in there, the client or the guy with the statement, he went on his own accord. I didn't talk to him, and he started looking up Brian Fox. And he went, holy shit, that's the guy.
Yeah, but Brendan, but isn't there power of suggestion? You just saw a large guy with a beard and thought it was Brian Fox.
That's not me. That's Tom Ross.
You said, there's a hole in my case. You're joking, but does that not show that there's a hole in your case that someone else
I'm joking.
So we're asking, here's a real simple thing. Brian Fox. You're making these brazen claims. You don't know. You don't know, do you?
So, if we don't know, what's the easiest thing to do? Put him on the stand.
Well, why? You can put anybody on the stand with a beard then.
No, because we also did the data analytics. And we have, I'll tell you about the stuff that's public, that's not going over to the police, because this has gotten to the point where we actually have to hand over our files for potential criminal investigations. So what the thing is this, is, like here you can trace money, you can trace photos. I can get a guy to trace all of that. So
what does that mean?
So you know how when you put money into
like reverse Google image search, or what are you talking about?
No. You know how you put money into a bank account, right? It goes digital, right? And then you can see it bounce.
Yes.
So anytime an image moves, it's timed. You can see when it was first went to the internet. And that's how I tracked all these people down. It's just like money in, money out. And then we started looking at this more, and we had some other people involved who I cannot disclose. And we figured out it was Brian Fox. And then, lo and behold, after people hear Brian Fox on the news, Twitter lights up.
Well, and because you were basically accusing something.
But then they produced the pictures of Brian Fox from the day. It's crazy. And I know none of you are going to report on it because he's a real popular guy with you guys, and you do a lot of work with him.
No idea who he is.
We have no idea who he is. The only reason we know his name is because of you. And you still can't explain why.
I just told you. I just told you. And you're really angry. And
I'm not angry. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
And it's really interesting. I know all of this. And when I came here, that whole Flaggate thing, I was like, you guys are crazy. That's like the whole thing about the false flag. Like, as a lawyer, most of the time, right? A joke is your client is your enemy, okay? So just because a client says something to me is true, I don't usually believe it, and that sounded kind of nutty. But then there were some things that came up I cannot disclose that are in the record production there, and we started connecting the dots using forensic stuff. And that's how we discovered.
Can you show us the forensic stuff? You're saying trace it, give us the
it's actually
point A to Z.
Well, you have it. You just have to ask the judge.
Why don't you give it to us? You're the one making the allegation. Why not?
They're saying that I can't give you anything that I filed, okay?
Well, you
and
have.
Remember when no, I didn't file that. So remember when you wrote me an email, right? And then I emailed you back, CCing the commission, and said, hey, Alex, yeah, you need to ask them. And if they deny, I talked to a couple of you so that you guys can do your job, because part of the problem here is that none of you are reporting on the facts of the things I said today. Right? So the things I said today is we have a lack of disclosure. We have all these issues. And then they're not releasing any of the evidence that is against the government or really letting it in. So the problem is that, media, in my view, especially back home, they also hold the government to account. It's not just lawyers, right? And so if you folks would get your lawyers in here, and back home, at least where I'm from, we have lawyers at the courthouse all the time applying to get production, right? Where a tribunal doesn't allow you to have something like a warrant or whatever. So like I offered the tribunal, and they didn't reply, my friend Megan Grant back home with CBC, she was the one who got the lawyers to get the warrants in the Coots case, which say that the whole thing was taken care of, right? Because the RCMP were already all over it, right? Local RCMP, Alberta contracted RCMP. So if you guys would actually, no offense, get off your asses and get in there and get some things done, we could actually cover this properly. And if everyone would just stop taking political pandering sides and actually think about, you know, normal governance and wanting to see government transparent, wanting to see government accountable, and you do what journalism
You don't think we care about that?
Well, honestly, like, I do back home. I do.
Have you read the coverage? Have you been reading the coverage?
Yeah, it's not.
What you're saying?
There's things that are missing. It's not. And I'm not looking at it from because, like, when you're doing a case, you look at a case from your point of view or from your theory of the case. But if this was back home, there would be a lot more.
You mean in Calgary here?
Yeah, back home. So, like, because there's no, but back there, right? There's no sort of political connections or reporters are
What do you mean?
friendly.
Who has political connections? What are you talking about?
Which do you want me to list the reporters? But using them for the fact that, yeah, I know you're smiling, you're laughing, you're like, yeah, because I know. And one of the things that, like, I have, because we have some dudes that do it, like the data analytics on Twitter. So you can actually figure out now which journalists are, you know, posting when. And, you know, you might see, if you go into my brief, I was able to trace government records to articles from Rachel Gilmore where they said the government got some people doing this to build this Nazi narrative. And I put that in, but you can't get that because you won't apply. So if you guys would start applying, right, and you held the government to account, we would probably get these records. And if you made it a big media story, now, I apologize for Tom thinking that was Mr. Fox. That was hilarious. But at the end of the day, guys, like, get in there, get the records.
Do you think it's hilarious that Brian Fox is getting death threats because of what you're floating
there?
We also report on facts, and when I make accusations against someone, I have facts backed up.
Do you remember when all of my clients were accused of being Nazis and terrorists? Because I do.
And they didn't enjoy it. Why would he enjoy it?
Well, I get it. So why is he special and my clients aren't? No, because they came here and had a protest?
Brendan, what I'm saying is,
I understand the accusation.
I want the truth.
Could you not have done that without naming him? Is there not a way for you to go through and
I asked.
explore the fault?
Well, here's the thing. I asked for it to be, like I said, for the commission to do it, and that would have been all that way. It wouldn't. And then they didn't let me call him. So, like, here's the thing. As lawyers, when you have the grounds for a witness to testify, right? Reasonable grounds that they have relevant material evidence doesn't mean that he did it. But what did happen after the fact when he got named, as far as I'm concerned, like, I've never met Brian Fox, but the photos of the guy and him together, now with all the videos and stuff coming out, and, you know, what I've been doing is I've shot it to my folks back home, and then also because I do some work with the Gov back there and gave it to the proper authorities just for safekeeping, because some of the data analytics stuff, if there is a criminal investigation, it would undermine that investigation by actually making it producible to the public, because you have to have what's called investigative privilege. And that's some of the stuff they had cited in there, Section 38 of the Canada Evidence Act, because if that stuff becomes public and people know about it, it can result in destruction of records and things. So we have this stuff, right? I'm trying to deal with it properly. I'm getting no help. All I wanted was a subpoena. It's not a high threshold of a subpoena. It's not. I had an affiant who identified the individual, pictures, and then it was actually only because they said his name in there that all these other folks started posting all the other pictures of the guy with the flag. And Mr. Fox, since that has happened, I get he's sending letters, and I get he's having friends go on TV to defend him. But I waived privilege. I posted it purposely because I was immune. All right? So I was immune because I said it in the courtroom. So
you're saying it again right now.
Yeah, I am, and I'm fine with it. So, because getting sent a liable notice, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything until you file a statement of claim. And I've told his lawyer, all right? I told his lawyer, let's just file this and you get me the records, including the whole client list of those folks. What are they called? The company? Enterprise, yeah. So we need Enterprise's file lists, who they work for, particularly their cell phone data, where they were that day, that sort of thing. If he sues me, I get all that, and I want him to. And I've told his lawyer to sue.
What if it's not him?
Well, then he should go through with the suit and win.
Okay.
That's what he should do. If it's not him, in the meantime,
his life is better.
So you truly
his life has been. So why isn't the best thing that he could do is say to the commission, "I want to come and clear the air. Let me testify." But the commission won't let me call him because it proves my case.
But the commission said that it saw very little evidentiary foundation.
They call it a fishing expedition.
They looked at it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, they looked at your affidavits, they looked at your evidence.
Yeah, but I've given all that to other folks back home. They've been mind-boggling. So here was the funny thing, too.
So is your allegation that Rouleau is working or something?
No, I'm just saying that here was the decision. We had a file affidavit evidence with pictures of the guy identifying him, okay? Mr. Fox sends a letter, not even written by himself, denying it. What has more weight in law? I can tell you the answer, it's not that. So they wouldn't call him, and the government doesn't want him to testify. And I'm having problems, like the judge won't make orders with respect to disclosure of records. You heard me about that today. This whole entire process has been completely untransparent. I even questioned Ms. Freeland today about it. It's problematic. And I know you guys are all, why are you alleging, why do you want Brian Fox to testify? Would it be so hard to have him come down here for 20 minutes? We can't ruin Brian Fox's life by having him testify for 20 minutes. That would be awful.
So well, it is an out of left field thing.
No,
you're not really providing. Like, you can show us the tracing you've done. You haven't provided any.
So you want me to give you my case prior to I cross-examine Mr. Fox?
We are being sued. You have to put it out there. Anyway.
Well, I'm not being sued. I'm waiting for him to sue me. If he sues me, I'll give him all this stuff. I have to. But the best thing is being a defendant. I get all his stuff first.
Brendan, so I got this draft. I need you to review.
So, in any event, it was. I apologize for Tom making the mistake that he did. We haven't met Mr. Fox, so you know, I guess we're seeing Fox as ever. But my client, or the fella who signed the affidavit, he has, and yeah, we're just Tom's just yeah. So cool. Cheers. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Maybe you guys find the guy with the flag.
It's not easy, you can tell.
Well, do your job.